Hey, what's going on, guys? Felix here, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to get back into the groove of things after a long vacation or a long weekend. So my wife and daughter and I just got back from a vacation. Went to Boston. It's my wife's favorite city, favorite town, and we went there for a long weekend. My daughter's never been there. She's only 16 months, so she's never been there. And my wife and I just basically went on our tour of our college town where we met and everything, and it was a good time. And I'm here with my dog. As I hear him panting in the background. Anyway, so I came back from a long weekend. It's not the first trip I've had this year, and I'm always worried about getting back to the groove of things. Always worried about being able to get back into action, get things rolling again. I'm always super concerned about how to get back into it, right? Whether it is a project you're working on, a business you're working on, a podcast you're working on. If you take a break from it, whenever I take a break from it, I'm always worried about how to get back into the groove of things. And part of me is worried about it because I don't want to lose traction, lose steam, right? I think a big part of an entrepreneur, a big part of anyone that's starting anything is like you have momentum, you have steam, you have things pushing you along. You're not going to want to lose that, because I think once you lose some of that inertia, lose some of the momentum, it's harder to get it going again. So that's always been back on my mind. Whenever I'm on vacation, I got a lot better at it these days, but for a long time I always worried about how do I get back, how am I going to get back on track, how to get back on the horse right when I get back from a vacation. And I'm back on vacation for the first time, and I started thinking I got back on vacation today, and I was thinking how do I make sure that I'm not super stressed out during vacation? How do I make sure I'm not super stressed when I get back? Because a lot of times I get back and it's kind of my whole morning, my whole first day back is just kind of a blur. I'm just trying to fight fires and trying to run around my head cut off and trying to do this, trying to do that, and not having a really methodical and strategic approach to it. I started thinking about this book that I read about a while ago called The One Thing, which is about how there really is only one thing on your to-do list. There should only be one thing on your to-do list, and that is first to figure out what is the one thing you should do, and there should never be a second priority, because by the time you do that first thing, your to-do list should change. It shouldn't be the same to-do list because the situation has changed, and you shouldn't be creating a long to-do list. You should really just be focused on doing that one thing and just doing that. And once the way to figure out what is that one thing is that what you got to do is, what I got to do is I ask myself, what is the one thing that I can do that will make everything else either unnecessary or much, much easier to do. So that's what I'm going to do this morning. I'm going to focus on how do I figure out what is that one thing. Don't have a too big to-do list. I have a too big to-do list right now, but I'm not going to look at it. I'm just going to figure out what is that one thing I want to focus on and focus on that instead. That's the plan. I'm going to get back to my office. I'm going to sit down and figure out what is the one thing that's going to have the biggest impact. And for me, it's still trying to figure out what is the offer that I should include in my business, in my podcasting business, so that I can help podcasters that are starting out, that are thinking about getting started for the first time. How do I help them launch a successful podcast? That's my only focus for today. If I can accomplish that, I've won. So if you're out there and you're thinking about how do I figure out what is my one thing, how do I get back when I just came back from vacation, how do I figure out what I should focus on when I get back from a long weekend, just think about that. Like, what is the one thing that you should be focused on? If it is starting a podcast, the best way to do it is figure out what is your niche. If you think about starting a podcast, the niche is so important. Once you get the niche figured out, everything else flows a lot more smoothly, because that is the foundation. That's going to help you figure out what are all the steps you need to take after that. And I have a new workshop. I have a new product that I'm putting out there called the Perfect Podcast Niche Workshop, which helps you identify what is the perfect podcast niche for you. Every person's different podcast niche, and there is no perfect podcast niche, but there is one that's perfect for you based on your interest, based on the market. What other podcasts are out there, based on is there potential for it to grow? You want to niche down to a hertz, which is what I always say, but you don't want to niche down so much that the audience doesn't exist and you can't build a sustainable audience around it. You can't build a sustainable business model around it. So again, I focus on that. If you want to get the workshop, it's over at podcastingsecrets.co/workshop. And answer some questions here. So Jake, I have a podcast. My most successful podcast, the Shopify Masters podcast, is the one that has over 1 million downloads per year. Started 5 years ago. Grew it. It's still running today. Mario, what's up, man? So yeah, podcastingsecrets.co is the main site. If you want to get the workshop specifically, is podcastingsecrets.co/workshop. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. If you're out there, you're thinking about, I have a massive to-do list, I don't know what to do, just don't look at your to-do list. Think about what is the one thing you should focus on that is going to have the most impact. And impact means what is the one thing that's going to either make everything else unnecessary or make it a lot easier to accomplish. So, and that's it. Don't think about number two, don't think about number three, think about number one. and only do that. That's all I'm going to focus on today. Think about number one, which is what is the offer that will help new podcasters and aspiring podcasters launch their business and launch their podcast. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.